Well, welcome again to the Gig-A-Byte podcast. I'm Mayor Tracy Markley, and I am just so happy to be here with you all today. I have a couple of guests with me that I'll announce in a little bit, but first I wanted to just let you know I'm going to kind of change it up a little bit with the format of the podcast. I want to start out by talking to you about things that you want to know about the city. What are things that you've always wanted to know? What are things that you've always wanted to ask me? Just anything really. And so if you could please send your comments or questions or ideas for the podcast to communications@gigharborwa.gov, and we will have all of that information in the description under the podcast. I'd love to hear from you. I want to know what you would like to get out of this podcast and things that you really would like to know. So please send your comments to me. Thanks so much. Welcome to the Gig-A-Byte podcast. I'm Mayor Tracy Markley, and I'm so excited to share my conversations with community members and local business owners. So grab a bite and let's dive in. Hello, everyone. Thanks to all of you watching on YouTube and to those tuning in anywhere podcasts are available. I am so glad you've joined us. And today I am so pleased to welcome one of our very own city staff, Robin Bolster-Grant. She is a principal planner in the Community Development Department, and I am so happy to have you and have our listeners get to know a little bit more about you, what you do. Many of you already know that we have kicked off our comprehensive plan update, but for those who haven't, this is the main topic of our conversation today. And so welcome, Robin. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and how you came to be with us at the city.
Oh, I am so lucky to be here. I have been a planner for 25 or so years. The vast majority of that was in California. Mm-hmm. And last year, I guess it's been about a year and 3 months, we decided to move up to the beautiful Pacific Northwest. Landed here, probably the most spectacular spot I can imagine working. I am just delighted to bring my experience, what I've learned in California, and contribute here in Gig Harbor.
Well, we are very blessed to have you. You have been a tremendous asset to the city, and I can't believe you've been here for a year already. A little more.
A little bit more. A year and 3 months.
It's gone by so fast. So
like
fast.
That. Yeah, absolutely.
So can you please describe what the comprehensive plan is and why it's important to our residents?
So I think of the comprehensive plan as sort of the Constitution. It sort of lays out all of the policies and aspects of planning that form our community, really, from economic development to transportation, housing, arts, culture, pretty much every aspect of life here is informed by the policies in the comprehensive plan. Every 10 years, that plan is required to be updated, and that means that we look at all of those policies, see if they still reflect the will of the community. Sometimes they're updated because legislative changes, which we will talk about in terms of housing specifically this time around. But we just do a check-in and make sure that the policies are consistent with the vision of our community. We update things like inventory, parks, capital improvement projects, transportation, and just take a fresh look. And it is important because, again, it reflects the values and vision of the community here.
Yeah, and this update will take us through 2020 or 2044.
2044. This is a 20-year look
plan
ahead to see. And so the question that we ask is, what do folks who live here, who work here, who visit here, what do you want Gig Harbor to look like in 2044, and how do we get there?
Yeah. It's very exciting.
It's exciting.
I know it's a lot of work. I've been so proud of you and our entire planning department that's working on this, because this is not an easy task to plan the next 20 years of a city. It's not an easy task at all.
It's not.
But I know that we are working very diligently to outreach to the public and get get that information. What do you want Gig Harbor to look like in 2044? And so talk a little bit about some of the public outreach we've already done and what's coming in the future.
Sure. So May 20th, we had our sort of kickoff event, reaching out to folks. We had a great turnout, considering it was a beautiful Saturday.
It was.
And people had many other choices about how to spend their Saturday. But we had about 60 folks come in, and we had visioning boards covering most of the big topics, again, housing, economic development, transportation, and invited folks to give us their feedback. We talked about what the current plan policies are, and the question was really, how well are these policies working? Do we think we've been successful? Are they hitting the mark? Where are we maybe off target? And maybe there are some new ideas to pump in and incorporate. So that was really the kickoff event for the community at large. We had also had some focus groups targeting some of our organizations, the Chamber of Commerce, Downtown Waterfront Alliance, and some of our commissions, to get some input there, sort of, again, what policy directions, what issues do they see that are important. We were at the opening of the farmers market last week. That was fun and robust. It was huge. I guess it's been a while since we've had that kind of participation. And then this weekend we had a booth at the Maritime Gig Festival. Also amazing, and
So
my
many
first
people
time
down
oh
there
my
this
gosh.
year. It was
And
great.
a glorious day,
Yes,
of course.
perfect
Terrible
weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And we had just a ton of folks come by, and we asked people. We had an exercise where we asked folks to take some virtual money and allocate their resources
that's great.
among 6 different policy ideas and topics. And it really was interesting to see how people, oh, wait, so do I want to put more money into parks and trails, or downtown vitality, jobs, housing? There's so
Tough
many
choices.
things. And that's really what this is about, balancing, prioritizing. And so to get people thinking about what that takes was really interesting. And we had a great response. So we will continue to do outreach. We will be at Farmers Market every other week. So not this Thursday, but then the following. We also hope that people will tune in to our Planning Commission meetings, which are first and third Thursdays of every month. And we will be talking about all of the elements in the comprehensive plan. And again, hope that folks tune in to hear the discussion, contribute their ideas. And then as we move forward, so right now we're sort of talking about the vision of Gig Harbor. We will get into sort of a deeper dive into the issues, the things that we need to overcome to get to where we want to be. And then ultimately, this whole process will need to wrap up because we need to have our update completed by December of 2024, the end of December. So we have a year and a half to continue to get people's input and participation. So we'll have many, many more events between now and then. So,
which that seems like a long time, but we know it's going to go by like so fast. And so you mentioned housing earlier. We had a joint meeting with Council and the Planning Commission, and all around housing. All of it was around housing. And I know that we had some responses after that were kind of shocking to me, because they kind of saying like they got hit out of left field. They had no idea this information was coming. And we had been advertising this for a while. But can you explain a little bit about why we held that meeting specifically, and what is happening with the housing portion of this? I think that is what is kind of like the biggest hot button with the comprehensive plan, the update right now.
It is, and part of that has to do with the legislation. There was a House Bill 1220 that was passed in 2021 that kind of upped the ante for Washington jurisdictions to address the housing crisis that I think we're all aware we have a huge shortage of housing, and specifically housing for all income ranges. So very low income all the way up to market rate housing. And as I said, the state has really put more pressure on jurisdictions. So we are required to accommodate our housing allocation, which is based on projected population increases over the next 20 years. And so, people hear about more housing, they're thinking more density, they're thinking what type of housing, and there are some sort of preconceptions that folks have, particularly when we talk about affordable housing or low income housing. And it will shock no one to talk about how expensive housing is here in Gig Harbor. And currently our median home price is hovering somewhere $800,000 to $820,000, and that's median. And so, for a household, you have to be making, upwards of $150,000, $250,000, depending on the size of your household, to be able to afford to live here. And that impacts folks like our teachers, our firefighters, our policemen and women. And so those have implications, and so the state again is trying to put some pressure on jurisdictions to accommodate housing for everybody. And again, that can be an emotional issue for folks, particularly in a community like Gig Harbor, small community. We've had a lot of growth. We had a population increase that was tremendous, and while we anticipate that will slow quite a bit, we still have a ways to go. So, so when the numbers were made public about how many housing units, and this comes from the Department of Commerce, this comes from the state, the numbers of housing units that are required via the county. So it's a bit of we have many layers of oversight. I will just leave it there. There's a lot of detail to that. But we are required to accommodate. We don't build the housing. We just institute policies that allow for more housing. So that could be rezoning. That could be increasing density, which again makes people very nervous because of the growth that we've had. We hear a lot of comment from the community about the changes and the changing character, and folks want Gig Harbor to remain small town with its history and character, and so it is not whether we accommodate, it's how we accommodate for increased housing units. And again, that's over a 20-year period. So,
So it's not going to be instantaneous.
It's not going to happen tomorrow. We're not going to have giant subdivisions just popping up. But the message that I try to communicate to folks is we are not going to have a lot of discretion about building housing if we sort of just sit back and ignore.
That's right.
The state will continue, and we've had several bills, pieces of legislation during this legislative session, most recent, that are increasing the pressure and density and how we build. So to the degree that we can get on top of it and have control now and decide where we want, how we want to build housing, we will have more control than if we have the state coming in and telling us, thou shalt,
Yes.
Yeah, and it's happened. And
yes, it's happened to a lot of our, our sister cities, if you would like to call the smaller cities in Pierce County.
Right.
They were subject to the new legislation that will be, active soon. We fortunately, being a city under 25,000 and not connected to a contiguous area with transit,
Right.
rapid transit, we were not able to, or we were not bound by the rules of this new law, but we're not going to escape it permanently.
No, we're not.
I think we got kind of a little extra gift of time this time around.
Exactly.
And then, but it is something that we're going to have to address. We are addressing, and we're not resting between legislative sessions.
Right.
That's for sure. We want to make sure that by the time the next one rolls around, this coming next January, that we're well prepared going into it, that we have already sent letters, we've already been in communication with our legislators, and have heard a whole lot more from our community about what they want Gig Harbor to be. I think some people are afraid that our downtown is going to turn into high rises on the waterfront, and that is none of our desire. It's not my desire. It's not the desire of our council or our staff. And so I want people to rest assured that the downtown area and keeping that historic preservation and keeping that small fishing village to the degree that we can, that is what we all want to see.
It's critical to everyone.
It's critical
Absolutely.
to everyone.
Absolutely.
We need a thriving Main Street. Absolutely. We need more restaurants and retail and a bustling Harborview Drive from Tides to Finn Homes. We need all of that to be active and economically, just, I don't know what the right word is. Just
vital.
It's critical to our survival, to our Main Street survival.
It is who we are, and
It's
we're not
who we are.
sacrificing that. There are many, many ways, many, many policy choices that we can offer with the help of our community to get us where we want to be in a way that makes sense and keeps Gig Harbor as wonderful as it is.
Yeah. So is there anything else that you would like people to know about you specifically, or a fun fact about you, or the comp plan in general?
Fun fact about me.
Because I really want people to know our city staff,
Well, gosh, too many things. I owned a bookstore. I've had a lot of different careers that I think have helped sort of prepare me for this. I'm actually a licensed attorney in California, not here. So I don't know if those are fun facts. Those are just random things that popped into my head. Yeah, but I guess my overarching message for folks is really to get involved, to contact me with any questions, anything, because this really is. It's our community's process. It doesn't work. I'm not coming up with policies.
Right.
I need people to engage as much as they possibly can and take ownership of this process. And I am available. If anybody wants me and or my group to come and give a presentation to talk about the whole plan, housing, economic development, whatever it is, we will take our show on the road and
I love it.
Yeah, so neighborhood groups, anybody at all that would like us to come out and talk to them. We're super open to that.
That's great. That's great. I may even bring you along with me to one of my next speaking engagements for Rotary or Kiwanis.
Absolutely.
And because this really is the biggest thing. The biggest part of my State of the City update that I'm giving out in the community is this process right here.
Yeah.
Because it encompasses everything.
Everything.
And we will have all of the ways for you to get in touch with Robin, to get in touch with, go on to the city's specific website page for the comprehensive plan. It's a great page full of just so much information. You can also sign up for our Notify Me. You can pick which things you'd like to get notified about, whether by text or email. It's just a great way to make sure that you don't miss out on any of the open houses or any part of this plan, including council meetings, planning commission meetings, where we're going to be giving updates on how the process is going and kind of where we are in the timeline. So check all of that out on cityofgigharbor.net, and we will also have the specific website listed as well, along with Robin's contact information. Thanks so much for joining me today.
My pleasure.
To talk about this important subject. So happy to have you, and We really want to hear from you. Like I said, don't be shy. Let us know what you like, don't like, what you want to see, and what you don't want to see. And now stay tuned for our local business spotlight. Welcome back to the Gig-A-Byte podcast. Each episode, we feature a local business, hear about their story and how you can best support them. And today, I am happy to have Max Collinge with us from Effortless Junk Removal. You are the owner, correct?
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Mary.
So glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
Yeah, sure. So I guess my backstory is I grew up in Gig Harbor. I was born in Tacoma General and pretty much immediately came over here. And I grew up around my parents flipping houses a lot. So I saw a lot of entrepreneurship, small entrepreneurship in my dad as a contractor, and then also, construction, demolition, and that kind of probably planted the seeds for this. So that's a bit about me. And then this business is kind of a brainchild of COVID. I was so sick of looking at Zoom meetings that I was like, main criteria is, can I be out in the world? So that's it. Yeah.
I don't think you're alone in that. Yeah. I was also very tired of Zoom screens and happy to be back in the world again. So can you tell us what is special and unique about your company in the land of junk removal companies? What makes you guys stand out?
Sure, yeah. So there's obviously a slew of us, of companies that are junk removal companies, but there's kind of the two big categories of the big names that everyone knows about, and then all of the guy with a truck duplicates, right? Yeah. But what makes us unique is, I think, first off, that we're very flexible. So we work mainly in the housing industry for realtors, contractors, people like this, and we'll tailor this offer to anything they need. So flexibility, full service. So we can take a single fridge or we can demolish an entire house. Doesn't matter. We'll do whatever. And if we don't have the licensing, we're going to go get it because, again, C.1. Yeah. What else? I think that we're going to have financing lined up soon. So say you're a real estate agent. Yeah, it would be incredible to have, say you're a real estate agent, you've got an elderly client, they've got no money left, but they've got to get their house listed. And maybe they were a hoarder, or they have 2 decades worth of items. Yeah. We can finance it. So instead of $20,000 up front, it's $200 a month, and it's not a big headache for them.
That's an amazing service.
Yeah.
That's great. We just moved this week, and I wish that I would have called you sooner. I may still be calling you this week. So where can our listeners find you, and what is the best way for them to reach you? And we'll have your information down below as well. But. Sure.
So if you have an immediate need for junk removal, then probably the best way is just to call me. So it's 253-290-7721. We also take texts. And if you want to just have a general feel for what the industry is about, what the offers are, what is and isn't possible, then you can visit our website, www.effortlessjunkremoval.com.
Great. Anything else you want people to know about you or your business?
I think just that it would be, I guess, like part of my vision for this is just beautifying Gig Harbor, being part of that, adding to just helping to continue to renovate properties and employ a handful of, really fit, avid, active young people. So that's kind of the vision, and I'm excited to be a part of the community.
So what age do you hire at? I know a lot of people ask that question, and
yeah, I would be happy with any age, 18 to, like any age is okay, but the main thing is, are they able-bodied and are they mature and not going to goof off and look bad? But yeah, that's it. And also, our business is oftentimes it's a little stressful. You're in a rush. Somebody might get hurt. It's very stressful. So can they laugh off a little bit of adversity? Yeah. And that's it. But I would say 18 and up, obviously. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. That's great. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate knowing more about you and your business, and I hope our listeners will contact you for any junk removal services or remodeling, renovations, anything.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you all for tuning in, and I hope you'll join us again next time.